We thank you for doing so. Appreciate that very, very much. But yeah, make sure you do like and subscribe and get after it and have some fun with it. It's game week. It can't get here soon enough. I think the word that I've used this week is anxious. Very, very anxious, because I want to know with greater context what we're seeing. And on that note, we have some thoughts on that today that we'll do in the second hour of the show. Tom and myself, we were talking today during show prep, if you whatever you want to call it, and we were kind of talking a little bit about some of the conversations we've been having. And as we were in the middle of that conversation, because we were kind of going back and forth, it was a give and take of ideas. We said, wait, let's just stop talking about this and save it for the show, because I think this is interesting. It's about perspective. It's about not only observations through camp, but projections and a lot of things that we think we know or we're not sure we know, and some stuff that we outright don't know, and some things that we think for sure we're positive of, and what it all means. But I do know that I'm anxious because I just think to myself, man, this is a vitally important season, and it's really, really, really crucial to Mike Norvell and his future here. So it's I'm rooting. I'm not gonna beat around the bush here. I'm rooting for this guy to succeed. Like Mike Norvell and I don't go out, hanging out and go to the park together and go see movies and have lunch and all that. I mean, that's not. But I like him. He's a good guy, and I also think he's a good coach. But I say it on this show all the time that one thing 20 plus years in this business has taught me, and observational, well, I would say this, context clues and everything else that we read into that you learn over time, is there a lot of good coaches that don't work out for whatever reason, just things that happen, wrong time, wrong place, wrong moment, one misstep, one miscalculation. And so sometimes it doesn't work out, even if you like the guy. Other times a guy works out and you don't like him and you don't think he's a real good coach. Like, I was having a conversation today with a friend, Tom. How annoying is it that LSU picked the wrong guy and won a national championship? FSU picked the wrong guy and had to start over with nothing to show for it less than 2.5 years later. LSU picked the wrong guy. Ed Orgeron is a dummy and made a mockery of the LSU program in a short period of time, but he won a national title. Now, that gets into recruiting and the fertile grounds, and it gets into a lot of things.
Key transfer and a key offensive mind.
Yes. But that's my point, though. How annoying is it, right? Again, we get into circumstances. What are they? When do you get there? On the back of what? What is happening at your program at the time that I arrived to coach it? All of those things, right? And, that's just, it's one of those things where it's different all the time. You see it all the time. And you talk to coaches in the business. I mean, it's funny to talk to coaches and their observations of other coaches. Well, you know that because not only have you done it, but read the, under condition of anonymity article that comes out every year where coaches are honest with the writer. Is it Athlon do it? ESPN's done it before. Lots of places do it.
It's the only thing I see Athlon for.
That's right.
That's how I know every year, oh, Athlon's still around.
Yeah, but it makes me laugh, right? There'll be these guys that are like, so-and-so isn't very good at this, or this. But he's in a real good situation. And, oh, by the way, his offensive coordinator is the best in the business. And you're like, well, they went 10-2 last year. And this guy's apparently a dumbass amongst the coaches in the league, right? And so, and on we go. Others are elite in a terrible situation where they barely, if you win 6 games, you'll read a coach say, that's a miracle. They have no right to win 6 games where they are. Their facilities are garbage. The fans don't show up for the games. Their budget is terrible. You can't recruit there. How he's winning 6 games is a miracle.
Then you got a guy like Dan Mullen who, with imperfect rosters, can put together one hell of a game plan.
Oh, he's a good game day coach.
And make the most out of whatever little he's got. Turn them into the maximum that they can be, as long as the message hasn't gone stale yet. And he hasn't pissed off the boosters and the people behind the scenes in the athletic department.
So that's it. It's fascinating.
It's all different shades.
It is. So why do I bring up all of it? I bring up that because I'm not afraid to say that I am really rooting for Mike to do well, because I think he's a good football coach. I think he's passionate, hardworking, organized, all these things. But, man, we've said it all off season, and it remains true. This is a very easy business to figure out at the highest levels. You smoke or you get smoked. You win or you don't. If you do not win, you could have accrued all the knowledge under the sun in regards to football, and it means nothing unless you find a way to turn that around into victories. And now we're at the point where it's time to get getting. Time to get with the getting. You got to win some games. They're a flawed team. There's some areas that concern you. They're a better team than they've been each of the last 2 seasons for sure. So there are a lot of definitives, right? They're much better than they were, but they're far from a finished product. They got a long ways to go to be good, right? Where you can overcome some of the things that great teams you see frequently overcome. It's funny, fans will always complain about penalties. Many times you look back on teams that had fantastic seasons, 11-win seasons, championship seasons, most penalized team in the country, most penalized team in the conference. Margin for error was great. They just had better players than everybody they faced. Bigger, stronger, faster. 15 penalties in a game, what's the matter? We beat your ass by 21 instead of 38. Things like that. But this isn't that team. No. The margin for error is very small, where if you are, like last year's team, incapable of getting it together on special teams, you're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose a lot because you're not good enough to overcome those yards. And we hope that this year is a huge step forward in that regard. We don't know that it will be. It can't be worse. Can't be worse. It can't be worse. They were horrible.
Yeah,
they're going to catch the ball, man. They're going to catch the ball.
I'm just saying if Norvell's injury luck continues, let's just say it went into another year, you say, good God. Here I thought that man couldn't get any unluckier. He has again. That would need to happen for it to be worse.
Well, yeah. So at the end of the day,
I'm just protecting against that because anytime I assume something for the man,
I think
it
you
never
can
happens.
Assume they're going to be better at returning kicks and punts. Let's just put that.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Let's just put that. I don't know if we're going to make field goals consistently, but
Micah gets dinged in game 1. You're like, oh.
There's other guys that can catch the damn punt or the kicks. I mean, come on.
Old Russo can do it.
Yes, he can. He can. So the point is, they're going to be better in that area. But I just keep thinking about how important it is for them to take a big step forward this year, and it's got to be in the win column. It can't just be, anecdotally, hey, look, they were better at this in this game. They're better here, and they're, if you go back and watch the second quarter, no, it's got to turn into wins. And if that happens, then Florida State gets to take a big leap forward in the next couple of years because it will affect recruiting. It will open doors that are currently closed in recruiting. Because at the end of the day, when I brought up the LSU situation, how could they overcome Ed Orgeron is really what that became. How did they overcome Ed Orgeron? Well, they overcame it because they had better players. They were loaded. That is arguably the greatest offensive team in the history of football in college. They were insanely gifted. Look at the number of players that were drafted. Ed could recruit, especially defensive linemen. He kept the recruiting train going, which is what saved his ass, along with a leap for the ages from a quarterback that transferred in. Joe Burrow became that guy. There was no evidence that he would be. There was no evidence in the prior season that he'd be that guy. But they were loaded, and the light bulb went off, and the right guy came in and called plays, and they overcame Ed Orgeron.
And he was the Gene Chizik of his decade.
And so when it right. So when it happens and you get a guy like that and you have a Cam Newton season, well, a Vince Young season at Texas.
Right. And Michael Dyer didn't suck for Auburn either. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, these things, but this guy hasn't inherited that roster. He doesn't have that to work with, having to build it back up. And he's in dire need of success. And I'm anxious to see if all of this hard work, all the organization we talk about, all the passion, all the connectivity, all of the flipping of the roster, the exodus of toxicity, all that stuff that he's been able to accomplish, the things that the buy-in that he's been able to get, the successes and the in my mind, evaluations of the transfer portal players. They've done a fantastic job with that. Does that all add up to the aforementioned number of wins that he needs to probably take that next leap? Because I don't. It's one thing. Like if they go 7-5, I'm still worried, Tom, because I don't think that you're going to see the shift in recruiting. And I don't know that 8 necessarily does it, but it certainly begins to open doors. I think.
Yeah,
Certainly.
it does. It's just for me, the hard part about this discussion is we skipped over year 2. You know, we talked about how 2020 was not a real first season, how last year was year 1, and the way we're judging him this year is like we're judging him. It's a year 3. The year 2 never happened for him. I'm just going back through the way we discussed the past 2 seasons. And if he's a dead man walking, as you say, because he doesn't win enough football games this year, then he just did lose a year, period. He did. So that year 0, year 1 stuff was nonsense because we're judging him this year as though it's year 3.
That's a harsh reality, probably, though. I think so. We can debate fair another time, but I think so. I think because of what it means for the future seasons.
Right. And if you win, it's not just opening doors to high school relationships and kids looking at Florida State's tape and saying, oh, that tape looks like something I could do better with.
Yeah.
It's opening up the pockets for a totally unrelated NIL collective that has nothing to do with Florida State and Rising Spear. I mean, the name doesn't even suggest they work with Florida State. It's amazing how this thing that's completely separate of the university has money in the coffers for specifically Florida State athletes. I don't know how it works. But I do know that if they win enough games, you're going to get doors open 2 different ways. The high school recruits are going to say, that looks like a fun system. And then that collective will say, oh, look at that. The P&L reports look really good. Looks like we can invest more. That's good.
So I had the good fortune of talking to an LSU insider, one who's been able to see practices and talk to the coaches and certainly keep tabs on a daily basis on how they're progressing as well. And I know as much as you guys were probably tuning in today for me to do the same for the head coach at Duquesne, I'm sorry I let you down. I skipped ahead. It's not that I'm not excited about the home opener. I am. It's the return of football, and it's here at Doak Campbell Stadium. We'll be at Hotel Indigo for the pregame show celebrating the return of Florida State football specifically. That will be fun. But I did want to keep tabs. I did want to look ahead to New Orleans and see what Matthew Moscona had to say. Had to say. And he joined us, well, he joined me yesterday morning. And you're going to hear that conversation next. If you're watching here on Warchant TV, you'll watch the video as well. He joined me via StreamYard. So that's next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Football at El Jalisco, football at El Jalisco, what a combination. It's a great big celebration. It's football at El Jalisco. I can dig it. Who's playing? Oh, man, everybody. The ACC, the SEC, all the C's, and even the pros. The Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Wow, far out. You bet, man. When the game is on, it's on at El Jalisco with incredible specials on everything from frosty cervezas to salty margaritas. Does Margarita know? Dios mío, not again. The best place to watch the game is El Jalisco. College, pros, Monday night, Thursday night, you name it, El Jalisco is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. It used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only legendary home loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is a special place. It's Tallahassee's only traditional gentleman's cigar lounge with a massive collection of hard-to-find boutique cigar brands, a staff with over 100 years of combined cigar knowledge and experience, the best prices in town with full box discounts, a great selection of beer and wine, indoor and outdoor seating, private lockers, and best of all, Jerry's is a local family-owned business. Visit us on Sherrill Road or the new lounge on Curry Forest Parkway, the only cigar lounge for the true gentleman.
For many in the workforce, their goal is to climb the company ladder. Often the climb requires a move to another city, and that's especially true in our industry. I'm Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. If you rise the ranks of our competitors, there's a good chance moving up means moving away. Why? Because they're not local companies. They're from places like Orlando, Atlanta, Salt Lake City, and even Europe. That's certainly not the case with our employees. We're a company that was founded in the Big Bend and remains locally owned. When Paul's Termite and Pest Control employees advance, they remain in the Tallahassee area. Don't trust the safety of your family and pets from disease-carrying pests or the structure of your biggest investment from termites to people who may be here today and gone tomorrow. Trust Paul's Termite and Pest Control, a company that has serviced thousands of our neighbors right here for over 50 years. Being local really does matter in our industry because local problems require local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control are the Big Bend's local experts for the elimination of termites or any other pest, and a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center.
Welcome in, Jeff Cameron Show and Warchant TV. We got an opportunity now. Matt Moscona going to join us, 104.5 ESPN there in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria. He's all over the place. You've seen him, and now he joins us. I'm excited about that because we got to get some perspective on LSU. It's almost go time, Matt. Welcome in. Thanks for taking time to join us. I appreciate it.
Hey, Jeff. It's my pleasure. Exciting time, man, for sure.
Yeah, real exciting time, in fact. And obviously, Florida State is playing this weekend as a warm-up. The main attraction everybody's looking forward to is this LSU game. But I think one of the things that stands out, and I want to start picking your brain right off the bat here, is nobody really knows what LSU is beyond talented. It's always difficult to get a read on the kind of transformation that occurs when coaching staffs are replaced. And most people certainly know who Brian Kelly is and his successes. And at the same time, one has to wonder, with the transformation, how quickly can he get this team playing at peak efficiency? They're certainly not devoid of talent. So give me your first impressions of Brian Kelly since you've been covering him and his arrival to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, I sure wish LSU had a week 0 game, but to maybe find out a little bit more about what they'll be. But Brian Kelly, I think, has surprised a lot of people. He surprised me. I guess you're not knowing much about Brian Kelly other than what you see from the outside. I always had the impression that he was sort of a cold, hard, standoffish Northeastern guy, red face. You see the rants, the yelling a lot on the sidelines. He's actually been quite the opposite with us. He's been very warm and engaging. I feel like as a beat that's covering his team, he's been maybe more willing to meet us halfway than maybe, from what I understand, he's been at any point in his career. He's opened practices at times fully, which hasn't happened in Baton Rouge in more than 30 years. He likes to tell jokes. They're not very good jokes, but he likes to tell jokes. But I think he has. He's been warm, and I think Baton Rouge has really received him well. I know people ask me all the time about the fit, and what I tell people all the time is the 3 most successful coaches in LSU history. Skip Bertman, who won 5 baseball national titles, was a Jewish guy from Miami. Dale Brown was the second winningest coach in SEC history behind only Adolph Rupp. He's from Minot, North Dakota. And Nick Saban, of course, from West Virginia, who spent his whole career in the Midwest before he got to Baton Rouge. And none of those guys maybe knew how to spell andouille or etouffee when they took the LSU job, but they won. And that's really all you have to do here.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I was just about to say, if he wins, he'll be a resident forevermore, right? I mean, they build statues for guys who do that, and he's done a lot of winning. It's been an elusive national championship that he has sought, and many believe that is certainly why he left Notre Dame, because what he's able to recruit with that imprint right there, that footprint in the South and Louisiana, we all know. Now, let's get to the roster, because that is my next question. How quickly will he succeed? How much of, I guess for lack of a better term, would you say, how much chaos was there over the last 2 seasons with Ed Orgeron? Because one would assume, or maybe that's just me, that one thing Brian Kelly is going to do immediately is instill discipline and kind of restore the locker room, if you will, and bring out the most in this talent that we talk about on a regular basis. For those Florida State fans that are listening to this that don't know, LSU has 3, possibly 4 NFL draft picks on the defensive line. The receiving core, it can be argued, if not the best. I guess you could argue Alabama's a better receiving core, but LSU is certainly in the conversation. They're not devoid of talent whatsoever. I guess talk about Brian Kelly and how quickly he can get this group playing at their best, because, again, it seems to me from outside looking in that it seems self-evident that there was a lot of chaos over the last couple of years with Ed Orgeron.
Yeah, Jeff, to start with your question about how much chaos was there, for perspective, in this most recent NFL draft, LSU had 10 players drafted. The only program that had more players drafted was Georgia, the defending champion, with 15. That's an LSU team that went 6-7. It's unthinkable. Ed Orgeron literally admitted he hired Bo Pelini as his defensive coordinator without ever interviewing him. He completely lost control of the structure of his program. He was an inept hirer and evaluator of assistant coaching talent. You can look at things like during the BLM movement in the summer of 2020. He had his players march on campus without him intentionally to the president's office. To say the culture at LSU was bad is a gross understatement, and that's why within a year and a half of having the most dominant team in the history of college football, he was fired, and LSU paid him $17 million to go away. Brian Kelly is the antithesis of Ed Orgeron. Everything is with intention and purpose. Now, I'm not telling you that I know that this will work or will deliver championships, or I have a feeling on it, but he came in and uprooted something like 40 jobs within football ops. He met with everyone from his assistants to the people that answer the phones and the custodial staff, because there's a way he wants everything done. And when you're inheriting a program that had so much chaos and dysfunction, that order and structure is needed, not only for the players, but for everything within the building, from when former players are allowed to come in and visit, and who's at practice, and what time you eat. And I mean, Brian Kelly's implemented structured programs where, he has daily checklists and affirmations that he wants his players going through. But it's needed. I would say it's almost like, when you're a teacher of an elementary school, when your kids are going to lunch, they need to walk in a single file line with their finger over their mouth. By the time you get to high school, you should be have a little more freedom where you just go to lunch. In college, hey man, figure it out. That's kind of maybe where Brian Kelly will eventually get this program to. But man, they needed structure and organization, and he immediately brought it. How much will that convert to wins initially? We'll start to find out. But boy, he had a pretty significant overhaul culturally that he inherited. But he did inherit a lot of talent.
It's interesting because Florida State fans listening to this right now can relate to some degree. There are different factors at play, but at the end of Jimbo Fisher's time in Tallahassee, things had gotten ugly as well, and the locker room was described as toxic. A lot of the loss of control of which you described was similar to what was happening in Tallahassee. there were some different factors that led to that. Fisher leaves, and Florida State makes a mistake, I think, in retrospect, and had to start over yet again in a short period of time. And so Mike Norvell implemented much of what you're describing that we see Brian Kelly doing at LSU now, which is kind of flipping the entirety of what they did on a daily basis, how they interacted, how they ate, how they practiced, how they worked out, what they did together, all of those things on and off the field. So it's certainly very relatable to the fans listening to this as they see these two teams take the field there in New Orleans in such a short period of time. I guess I'll start with the news out of camp for you, Matt. I want to ask what you've learned up to this point. I know John Emery's suspension has been a topic as of late. It's not as if, though, LSU doesn't have running backs that they feel good about. First, I would ask you, is he going to win his appeal? I'm not an expert on what happened there, but I've read enough to know that it seemed like something that would have been resolved in his favor. It hasn't been up to this point.
Yeah, Jeff, I'll tell you, a year ago, John Emery was taking first-team reps all the way up until the Thursday before the opener against UCLA. And I asked a staff member, why in the world didn't you plan for a contingency? How did you not consider the fact that you may not have this guy and to give someone else reps? And the answer was they never considered that they would lose the appeal because during COVID, it felt as though the NCAA was granting everybody COVID waivers. I don't think that's an excuse. I think that's another flaw that Ed Ogeron had. But my point is, if John Emery wasn't granted the appeal a year ago, I don't know what would change now that he would be granted a waiver for these two games. So I would assume, and again, I don't know, I can't tell you that I know this answer definitively, but I would assume that John Emery would not be available against Florida State, which means Noah Cain, who's a Penn State transfer, would likely be the guy, along with Armani Goodwin, who's in his second year in Baton Rouge. And both those guys are very talented backs. Both have looked really good in camp. And I would tell you honestly, Jeff, I don't know that I could really differentiate among the three. I don't know that I would tell you John Emery was decidedly better than those two in fall camp. The problem LSU has is the next guy is Josh Williams, who's a former walk-on. So they've got a couple of guys that they really like, but you're a turned ankle away from looking at a walk-on your depth chart. So that's the issue. They've got talented guys up front. The depth is the problem.
On the offensive line, everybody would look to that position as a problem from a year ago, but that was a position that also had talent and that, again, has talent. Now, some of that is in the form of a freshman recruit that everybody has heard about and certainly expects big things from. How quickly can he be great is always the question when you bring in a highly touted player like Will Campbell. But then in addition, I know there are transfers there. They're shuffling guys around, trying to find the best five. The offensive line numbers towards the end of last year weren't good. It was strange to look at some of those numbers in terms of pass protection and then also lack of success rate in the run game. Yet there were games that we saw with LSU where they were dominant. How would you assess that group so far in camp?
It's so strange. That was a unit that was not very good in 2020, but they returned everybody last year. And the point I made at this time a year ago was just because you return everybody from a unit that wasn't very good doesn't mean you're better. Those guys have to improve. And in the second half of the year, they did. The first half of the year was a real struggle. But to your point, 3 of those guys got drafted.
Yeah.
It was such a bizarre season, and it's hard to look at anything other than Ed Ogeron. But this is what I'll tell you, Jeff, about this offensive line. I think the 5 guys that LSU will start against Florida State, if you look ahead in 10 years, you would say those were 5 Sunday players. I think they'll all get their opportunity to play in the NFL. What is the great unknown, part of what you mentioned, right? Will Campbell is the best offensive lineman that Louisiana's produced probably since Andrew Whitworth, 20 years. He's a freshman. He's going to be starting his first collegiate game at left tackle. I don't know how that's going to go. Garrett Dellinger played a lot last year as a freshman. Very talented player. He's going to be playing center for the first time in his life. You're starting 2 transfers. You're starting a right tackle who was a guard a year ago. I think all those players are very talented and are going to play at the next level. But how do they function together in positions they haven't played and played with each other week one against that Florida State defensive front? That's a big question. I mean, I think this game, it looks like both teams have real questions on the offensive line and real strengths on the defensive line. And I think that, in a nutshell, is this game on September the 4th. It's like, which offensive line is going to be able to come together quickly enough against the opponent's really talented defensive front is probably going to be the story of this game.
Kind of screams take the under. If nobody can block anybody. But then again, both potentially with mobile quarterbacks. We know Jordan Travis is going to be the starter for Florida State. Is Jaden Daniels going to be the starter for LSU, or is it Nussmeier?
Man, we're 14 minutes in. I finally got a quarterback question.
Hey, I don't like to go to the quarterbacks early. We know games are won up front. I don't need to bother with the quarterbacks until we find out what's going on with the lines.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jeff, my take all along has been this was going to be Jaden Daniels' job, at least to take the first snap against Florida State. Is he going to be good enough to keep the job? We'll see how he plays and what this offense wants to be. But it makes so much sense. He is by far the most experienced guy with 30 career starts. Miles Brennan is now since ended his career, and Garrett Nussmeier has not started and only played one game extensively a year ago as a freshman. So Daniels is your most veteran guy. He is mobile, which is what this coaching staff wants. They want a quarterback that can make plays with his feet, that can extend plays if the pocket's collapsing, and you may need that behind this offensive line. And the other guys were here, and they made the decision to go get Jaden Daniels. So all of that circumstantial evidence kind of tells you what way I think they've been leaning all along. And I do think it'll be Jaden to take the first snaps against Florida State. But again, whether or not he plays well enough to keep that job remains to be seen.
Well, whoever wins the job is going to be thrown into a group of receivers that I described earlier in the interview as amongst the elite in the SEC. Maybe by season's end, they'll be the best. I don't imagine they've disappointed. All those guys, everybody knows about Butte, but all those guys have looked really good, I assume, in camp.
It's by far the greatest strength on this team. Mm-hmm. There's so much skill on the outside, and this state produces a ton of skilled athletes. Not that dissimilar from Florida, but Kayshon Boutte is there, and I think everyone knows he's a potential All-American first-round pick. He is dynamic, and nobody on this defense has been able to guard him in any of the drills we've been able to see. But it doesn't just stop there. Malik Neighbors is a guy who really popped last year as a freshman. They moved him into the slot just to get him onto the field more. Jeray Jenkins is a senior who will be probably a middle round draft pick. Even beyond that, Jack Besh, who was second on the team in receptions a year ago after Kayshon Boutte got hurt. And then you've got these really dynamic guys like Brian Thomas and Chris Hilton, who are sophomores this year, who are just trying to find a way on the field because there's so much depth. LSU has explosive playmakers at receiver. They've got an embarrassment of riches in talent at that position. The question really is, can the quarterback stay upright to get him the football? I mean, that is just the big unknown with this team. But the biggest strength on offense is receiver. The biggest strength on defense is defensive line. After that, it's fair to ask a lot of questions about any other position group on this team. But those two should be really, really good.
Yeah, you mentioned the defensive line because I was going to ask if you didn't pick the wide receiver position, you certainly would have picked defensive line because that's four guys that are going to be playing in the league, minimum. Three for sure, I guess I should say. I mean, I love LSU's defensive line coming into this season.
Yeah, and so Matt House is the new defensive coordinator. He comes in, he was the linebacker coach with the Chiefs. Prior to that, he was the defensive coordinator at Kentucky. You might remember when Josh Allen had the big year at Kentucky, 17 sacks, 21 tackles for loss, became a first-round pick. Well, Matt House was his defensive coordinator. So I think, what they did in that defense and one of the changes that they're making in this one is they're not looking at a traditional 3-4 or 4-3. They're kind of running like a 3-2 with a jack linebacker and primarily a nickel in their base. And that's the role B.J. Ojulari, that jack is what B.J. Ojulari is going to play. And you're seeing him pop up on a lot of first-round mock drafts. He's just a really athletic edge guy that is going to be a problem for college offensive linemen to block. they were looking for depth at that position. And throughout this fall camp, I think they found it in a guy like Desmond Little, who's a name you don't know, but he wears number 8 now, and he's a 6'5" edge linebacker, so you're not going to be able to miss him if he gets on the field. But but if there's one other guy I tell you to really keep an eye on, who I think has got the biggest boom potential this year, it's Mason Smith. He's a big guy in the middle. He wears number 0, and he was a 5-star, number 1 defensive lineman in the country. For those who follow recruiting, to remember the name. He has been largely unblockable throughout fall camp. He is the guy that, as you project, is the future top 10, top 15 pick in the draft. He's, provided he stays healthy and all that stuff. There's a reason. Look, Ed Ogeron was a defensive line coach and is known as a great recruiter, and he recruited very well at that position. There is no shortage of talent across that defensive front, as you'd expect with a guy like Ogeron, building that roster. Maximizing the talent he had, putting good coaches in place, that was a problem with Ed. But recruiting and getting good talent on this roster was not an issue, and certainly wasn't an issue on the defensive line.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I have LSU going over that initial. If you could get it at 6.5 early in the summer, you had to jump on it, but I think it's 7 now. I still like LSU to be one of the quote-unquote surprise teams of the West. Everybody's going to obviously pick Alabama, and then people will focus on Texas A&M, but I really like LSU's talent, and you're not telling me anything that I didn't think I'd hear from you. That basically, and what I mean by that is you're telling my audience exactly what I thought, which is that this is a team that has talent. If they gel quickly and he gets them to play smart and disciplined football, LSU could win 9 or 10 games. Now, albeit it's in the brutal schedule and it's a tough SEC, but is there anything about this matchup that you've heard, and at least in terms of talk from FSU people, talk from LSU people, that we're not discussing that interests you beyond just the cachet of the two schools? What is it? Is there an element of this game that you think might stand out and be the difference?
Special teams. LSU is LSU is a team where if you look at this season, they are going to be a decided underdog against Alabama, and should be. They will be a heavy favorite in their non-conference games, and probably about a touchdown favorite at home against Mississippi State. Every other game on this schedule, I expect it's going to be a 3-point spread one way or the other. With the LSU-Florida State game, I think it's LSU 3 right now. That's going to be this entire season for LSU. They replace every specialist on the team. They lost their long snapper, their punter, their place kicker, their kickoff guy, their holder. They lost everybody. And they tried to supplement through the transfer portal. They brought in a long snapper from East Carolina. Jay Bramblett, punter from Notre Dame, followed Brian Kelly down here. He's also holding. But as far as place kicking and kickoff duties, that's a giant question. And if you're going to play a whole bunch of one-possession games, which I think LSU will this year, and you don't have a kicker, that's not a great recipe. So that is a gigantic hold-your-breath moment for LSU. Anytime – look, last year, Cade York was LSU's kicker, the best kicker in the history of the program. He was a kicker drafted in the 4th round by the Browns.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff, it was literally like if LSU got inside the 40 points, that was the expectation was just, okay, you're inside, you're getting points. I mean, like Florida State's had great kickers over the years. You know what that's like whenever, Graham Gano, whoever. I mean, we all know that if it was Janikowski, there's just times where you have a kicker where you just feel like it's automatic. That's what LSU had the last 2 years. Last 3 years, actually, because they had Cole Tracy as well. But that ain't the case this year. And I'm going to tell you, if LSU's in a one-possession, let's say LSU's down a point in the 4th quarter to Florida State, and they got to line up for a 42-yard field goal from the left hash to win it, a year ago, I told you put it on the board. Today, I don't know. I mean, nobody ever wants to talk special teams. I'm telling you, if you're looking at that game coming up on September the 4th, watch LSU special teams.
Man, it's funny. We're holding up mirrors here, brother. I got to tell you, Florida State fans will be in that same Stadium holding their breath if it's a 42-yard field goal trailing by a point to LSU. It is the exact same thing. And you're right, nobody thinks about it when it's automatic. I mean, Roberto Aguayo in college was as good as they come. You mentioned Sebastian Janikowski. That's back when I was in school. It's remarkable when you've got an automatic guy. Graham Gano was great too. You're right. It changes the game because you understand that the success rate beyond the 50 is automatic just about. I mean, there's been a couple of seasons where Florida State had a kicker miss 2 kicks total, and it's a difference maker immediately. So you're right. I think it's an interesting aspect to this game. A lot of question marks around both teams going into this contest. Hey, Matt, great job. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate the conversation, getting to know you a little bit. I'll tell everybody once again, 104.5 ESPN there in Baton Rouge, 3 to 6 Central Time. If you're looking for Matt, you can find him there and find him really all over the place because as I research you, I found you all over YouTube. Great work, sir. And I look forward to maybe meeting you there in New Orleans, and take care.
Man, if you can spell my last name, you can find me on the internet.
Scona, got it. Be good, man.
Thanks, Jeff.
Take care.
West on County Road 270A, just east of the intersection with Thomas Smith Farm Road, attempted to navigate a left bend in the roadway. The sedan exited the road to the right before attempting to overcorrect to the left. The vehicle crossed both lanes of travel as the sedan began to rotate clockwise and struck several trees on the south shoulder of the road. A 23-year-old male passenger of Chattahoochee was ejected from the sedan. The driver, a 37-year-old female, also of Chattahoochee, was transported to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The passenger was transported by helicopter to a hospital in Dothan in critical condition. U.S. Representative Charlie Crist won the Democratic nomination for governor in Florida on Tuesday, putting him in position to challenge Governor Ron DeSantis this fall in a campaign that the Republican incumbent is eyeing as a first step toward a potential White House run. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise overcast. Highs level off around 87, northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Lows around 72 tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 87, overcast skies. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 86.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floor. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange.
TV or Warchant.com, you've probably seen that interview. It was posted earlier today, but for the radio audience and for those that watch here, we wanted to be able to provide that for you as
Let
well.
the boy watch.
Yes. So it was good. It was fun to watch and fun to listen to, and I do think playing, really kind of when before I did the interview, I wanted to make sure I knew their personnel. So you go in there because they do have. We didn't get to the secondary. The back end is a lot of transfers, but guys that have played at a high level and guys that have played college football. So they're relying on some of those guys, and they're really pretty good everywhere else. So I was like, well, that's not an elite backfield. It's not. We'll see if the offensive line gels. They do have talented players there. Let's hope it's later in the year. I keep getting back to the importance of playing them early. Just as we talk about the two teams growing, and I think Florida State's more ready-made to start the season well, but they're less talented. Florida State's less talented than LSU. So LSU's zenith is going to be better than Florida State's.
Right. That means that in the 2-game series we're playing here, before, of course, we're in the same conference, when we were all in the SEC together, you might want to get this one because next year in Orlando,
yeah, you're going to have to get this one.
It'll be a little rough. Unless we have the 8 or 9 win season and, you have some impact transfers on top of high school recruits.
Yeah, I also wonder, next year's going to be interesting at quarterback. I think we'll talk about that, you and I, next hour.
Preston asked if there are no more injuries between now and kickoff of that game, would you lean on Florida State +3? Is that enough?
No.
Is the hook enough at 3.5?
Maybe.
Okay. All
Maybe.
right.
Yeah.
It's better than you saying no unequivocally.
Yeah, no, I like LSU right now. I'll give the 3. I originally was going to give the 6, so when it was that high, and then I
give the 6.
Yeah, I was willing to take LSU -6. Anything below 7, I was taking LSU.
I was a fool. I didn't jump on that +6. Feel good about the
Well, if you like
+6.
FSU, you should have jumped on it early. Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw the Sharks came down on our side. They all bet it. Yeah.
Well, then you play that on the money line too for a pittance, but then that's your double down is, hey, it's a little bonus because at +6 you can get a decent money line.
Yeah, the only thing I would tell you is that it works both ways. On the one hand, you would probably be saddened to hear me say that initially I would take LSU -6 because you're like, oh man, that means you think they're decidedly better.
I'm indifferent.
On the other hand, after watching Florida State's camp, I would not take LSU -6. I would, if it was that high still, I would take FSU. So, but I like LSU 3 or anything less than 3. I like LSU to win. I think LSU's a better team. But it's a team that still will not have played a game under a new coach, new coaching staff, new quarterback. They're shuffling parts around here on the offensive line.
Old habits die hard.
So,
if they get hit in the mouth early.
Well, we'll see. I don't think that the kind of give up you saw under Ed at the end is going to be prevalent. I don't think so. He's done a lot to overhaul that. I wish Ed were still there. I promise you that, because I'd like us there. But that's there is. I agree with that, live spectator. The continuity in coaching staff and quarterback. And I really think that does give you a slight advantage, a possibility of taking advantage of a team early.
And again, last year, Brian Kelly with a roster that was all his own, a culture that was all his own.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the exact same talent in some spots as LSU, but that's a very polished Notre Dame program that was just coming off a college football playoff berth.
Yeah.
We were toe-to-toe with him. If there's not a botched snap, you might win the game outright.
We would have stolen that game. Joe came alive. They made a tactical error. They thoroughly outplayed us for 3 quarters.
Which means that Brian Kelly is fallible.
Oh, I don't think he's Jesus on the sideline.
Yeah.
I never made that argument, but I would just tell you, if he keeps his foot on the gas, we're not toe-to-toe. That Notre Dame was a better team all the way across the board, and they were better that night until they did something stupid. Their calculation by looking at the time remaining in the game and what we could and couldn't do offensively, that's where they miscalculated. They backed up and they said, okay, run it. We're going to give you the run it. And if you do, you're going to run out of time here. We'll win this game easily. Oops. Because they gave up some big scores in the run game by not tackling. And so you can give up 7 yards. You can give up 10 yards. You can't give up an 80-yard run. It changes the math on the clock.
Well, even that 80-yard run, the first one, came in a situation where we were building a lead. We had the lead early in that game. It was actually
they went right down the field to their all-world tight end on 4th down, whom we said you can't let.
Well, we came back and took the lead. after that. And then it was on the afterburners, and then Mike went for it on his own 30 out of desperation, which is something he's got to clean up too.
Sure.
Come on, man. If we've got a better team this year, let's not do that desperate thing with the 4th down math.
Hey, Preston, you know why I dismissed Jack Cohn? Because he's the same bum that sucked the rest of the year. He just happened to be great against us, as did everybody else that played us in the first 4 weeks.
And if he wasn't, if it was if he was himself, if Jack Cohn was himself.
Jack Cohn out here dropping dimes against our sorry ass.
Not to Dabo this thing, but we would have won 8 out of 10 times.
I was laughing when he did it. I was like, really? Okay. Jack Cohn, sorry ass.
He wasn't Jack Cohn that night.
Well, again, we learned our secondary couldn't cover you and me in the
that didn't matter. There was a lot of good coverage there.
Oh, there were a lot of great throws. There were also guys running wide the hell open, so it was frustrating. Coming up next hour, we're playing some Garnet and Gold trivia. This is for our Warchant.com members only. Oh, how about that elitism? Get you some of that. It's $1. Sign up quick. You can be part of this. You'll reap the reward and then some.
Some might say you could make 250% back.
They might say that with this little piece of trivia. Garnet and Gold trivia, that is. If you haven't signed up, do it. Find out. We'll be playing it next hour. Got a chance to win $25 to Garnet and Gold next hour. Stay tuned for that. Should be good. Hour 2 forthcoming. Stay with us.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at widdenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
If you're a business owner of any kind, you need advanced fire protection services. We are AFPS, and we provide high-quality life safety services throughout Northwest Florida, and we've been doing it since 1989, with offices now in Tallahassee. Fire sprinklers, fire alarms, fire extinguishers, hood suppression systems, and emergency exit lights. For all of your life safety equipment, we've got you covered 24/7. We are Advanced Fire Protection Services. For a free life safety system evaluation, visit WeSaveLives.com. That's WeSaveLives.com.
This is Ken Wondergem, owner of Gem Mazda of Tallahassee. Smart customers always shop early, especially these days. What are some of the benefits of shopping early and pre-ordering your new Mazda from Gem Mazda of Tallahassee? More color choices, more options, and a much more relaxed buying experience. You already know about Gem Mazda's reputation for fuel efficiency and reliability, so pre-order your new Mazda from Gem Mazda of Tallahassee this month, and before you know it, your dream car will be sitting in your driveway. Or choose from Gem Mazda's selection of certified pre-owned Mazdas and drive it home right away. Gem Mazda of Tallahassee has a wonderful selection of pre-owned vehicles on our lot right now. All makes and models. And just one more thing, and I saved the best for last. Pre-order your new Mazda now and get more for your trade. And as always, Gem Mazda will not mark up the price of your new Mazda. No games, no gimmicks, just a gem of a deal. Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, Capitol Circle Northwest, just up from West Tennessee Street, and always open at gemmazda.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Some of President Biden's political supporters unhappy with his expected announcement
for giving up to $10,000 in federal student loan debt.
Even before the announcement, Biden allies are expressing disappointment. The head of the NAACP, which has aggressively lobbied the president to take bolder action, said, "This is not how you treat black voters who turned out in record numbers." Meanwhile, Republicans are blasting the decision as a government handout.
White House correspondent Greg Cluxton says moderates and Republicans question the fairness of any widespread forgiveness. That announcement is scheduled for later this hour. Also at townhall.com, Congressman Jerry Nadler has defeated Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney in a Democratic primary after the court forced the two veteran lawmakers into the same New York City district.
Nadler has spent 30 years representing Manhattan's Upper West Side. Maloney, 30 years representing Manhattan's Upper East Side. But New York's new 12th district spans Central Park. Both have held powerful positions in Congress. Nadler, the chair of the House Judiciary Committee. Maloney, the first woman to chair the House Oversight and Reform Committee. In his victory speech, Nadler noted how he and Maloney have spent much of their adult lives working together and thanked her for decades of service to New York City. I'm Ben Thomas.
Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has rejected clemency for a man facing execution this week. James Coddington was convicted and sentenced to die for the beating death of friend and coworker 73-year-old Albert Hale in 1997. Coddington was twice sentenced to die for Hale's killing, the second time in 2008, after his initial sentence was overturned on appeal. On Wall Street now, the Dow is ahead 18 points and the NASDAQ up 53. More at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon two factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That very, very much. We'll do The Garnet and Gold trivia question at the end of this segment. Opportunity for you to win some cash. Well, $25 to Garnet and Gold. Same as cash, man. There you go.
People are guessing in the thread already.
Get you some threads, speaking of which, before the start of the season. Are they? I haven't looked over there yet.
Yeah, I'm posting it now.
What do we got? Oh, you're just posting them up here on the video. Oh, that's funny. Marvin Jones, final answer. 43, 4th and 14. Jeff's father is the only living dad amongst the headlines trio. Good guess. Dos Artes, good job.
Yeah, Dos Artes is a good guess, BC.
The wildly popular Jeff Cameron Show, good job. Good guess. That is correct, by the way.
No, it's not. You don't win $25 to
No, it's not the correct answer to the trivia question. It's the right descriptor of the Jeff Cameron Show, which has been the case for a long time now.
It's kind of like how
exciting.
John Travolta did the introduction for Idina Menzel when he couldn't say her name. He said, the wickedly talented, the wildly popular Jeff Cameron Show. But he called her Adele Dazeem.
I don't remember this,
You don't
and
remember
I don't
that?
know who that is.
Oh, man.
I'm terrible about
Idina
all this.
Menzel was the one who sang Frozen's theme song,
Oh,
Let It Go.
That's why I don't know who she
If
is.
you had younger girls...
No, but
you
I've
would-
heard Let It
yeah,
Go, but
yeah,
I just didn't
that's
know
her.
who sang it. It didn't interest me.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's done a whole bunch of other stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, he called her Adele Dazeem.
It's a toughie. He couldn't go on and on with
Idina
the
Menzel, Adele Dazeem. That's rough. That's like when Isaiah Thomas got introduced as Isaiah Thompson, the head coach of FIU, was it? I forget which team he coached.
Yeah, who?
Isaiah Thomas was named the head basketball coach.
FAU, I thought
FAU,
it was. I think it was.
Head coach Isaiah Thompson.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, sir. You could have said frequently handsy.
The frequently handsy.
He was frequently handsy. All right. I'm not doing the trivia question just yet. I will. But here's the deal. It's only for warchant.com members. If you haven't signed up, it's $1. It's $1. Head to the tribal council and look up the top there for the trivia thread. And when we ask the question, the first one to post
in the thread,
the correct answer, you'll win $25 to Garnet and Gold next hour. You know, Garnet and Gold's a nice partner on this Jeff Cameron Show. We'll be going over there to get some new gear for the pregame show this week.
And for the in-game show for me, and for the post-game show. I wonder if they'll let me have 3 different outfits every show.
Well, you know, if you're a suit maker out there and you'd like Jeff to wear different suits each week as well, and during the show, I can be bought, is all I'm saying. If you want to throw some suits my way, but on game day, I'll be wearing Garnet and Gold gear.
Unless Garnet and Gold has a Nole blazer that you can wear.
I would do it. I would do
There you
it.
go.
I would do that.
You look like Matthew Lesko, the Nole fan.
Yeah. It would be good times. I'm excited for this question. Although the question kind of led to some frustration that I feel.
There's your hint, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What could he be frustrated about?
I feel some frustration about the question, not the question, but the answers to the question reveal the frustration once again. And that is troublesome. You know, I have a thing in my backyard. It's a sign that reads Florida State Parking. And it's because for a long time, my house has served as people's home away from home during the football season. My father comes to every game, stays with me, which I'm happy about. And then friends that
you're not happy about.
What, that I'm not happy about?
Well, yeah, because you said your father's days you're happy about. And then I have friends also.
No, I'm happy about them too. I don't always love that it's every weekend. My wife and I don't always love that it's every weekend.
That's why you got to build that annex in your backyard.
I got a T-Spark on it. But we have a thing that says it says Florida State Parking, Seminole Parking, whatever it is, and we put that there some time ago. And I take it out of the garage at the start of every football season and walk into the backyard. Put that son of a bitch, and here we go. It's time. And I did. I did this morning.
Would you say that from now on? Plant that son of a bitch.
Yeah, I will from here on out. It's time for me to plant that son of a bitch. And then
it's like your spear.
It's great. I do. I put it there and I'm like, let all the people come on. Mi casa, su casa. Let's go.
Your son is excellent on the Instagram. Both of them are. I follow them. They're funny. But they could shoot a video for you where everybody goes, oh, and then you plant the sign.
So my youngest kid, played in his first ever competitive football game in pads last night. It was a jamboree. It really didn't count. But I went there, and I was once again reminded, although I didn't need to, I knew this because Bryce played basketball last year. But I can't. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this.
With the parents or what?
Yeah, I'm not good at watching my own kid play. I mean, I feel just conflicted. Not conflicted. I don't want to yell at him. I'm like, you just root so hard for him. You want him to do well. You want him to play well. And then I have a hard time watching the game because there's things you see that you're like, it's not what we do.
You sound like an old client of ours.
It's well, and now hold on. But then also, you just hear dumb things in the stands. That's just inevitable. It gets back to being in the stands, and you're like, oh man, I have to start going with headphones on.
There you go.
I think it's the way to do it.
Listen to the radio broadcast.
No, I'll listen to
Jeff, what are you listening to? The live radio broadcast of this game.
No, I'll listen to a podcast.
Where did you find it?
I'll listen to that, or I'll listen to one of my favorite records or something, and it'll bring a zen-like peace over me, and I'll just watch the game and go from there.
Also, you know why we did not go to a bowl last year?
Because we suck?
No, because you didn't sit on the rug with your face on it and eat
apricots.
Yes.
Apricots or apricots.
That has to happen before we hit the road for New Orleans.
But
or
I
else
can't.
We're
I can't
screwed.
sit
Jordan
on
Travis
the
will
rug.
be injured for the
No,
year.
Stop! What are you doing?
It's
Throwing that
on
out
you.
there
You
into
gotta
the
sit.
ether. What are we doing?
You got to sit on Chairman Cameron's rug.
Yeah, I'll gladly pull the rug out this year, sit down and eat apricots after the wins. I don't know that it warrants a rug sitting, apricot eating experience after a win over Duquesne.
No, it is to set the tone for the season. A tone for last year. Maybe get some incense. You could say a prayer to the football gods.
What is it about a 16-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 15-year-old that makes you think that incense is cool? Like universally, 16-year-olds think incense is awesome. I mean, if you've ever been into a Spencer's, you know this.
Right.
So it's weird.
Well, it's the inner pyro maniac in all of us as kids.
Yeah.
Even though that's not the same as something that explodes, it feels that way. And it smells cool.
Everybody wants me to sit on this thing. Okay. Sit on the rug, writes Keith. This is what we're doing?
Apparently, I dredged up some emotions for other people, too. That's good.
You want me to bang bongos while I'm on the rug?
Yes.
Apricots and the incense is burning?
Yes. 100%.
Oh, my God.
Get your McConaughey on. Just, be
butt-ass
clothed.
naked.
Be clothed.
On the Cameron Mao rug.
Yeah, Cameron Mao. That's
Cameron
right.
Mao rug. And incense burning while eating apricots. Yeah, I mean, that would be something. That's an internet video that would do very well for Warchant TV.
On the money line. Noles on the money line.
No, then we're bastardizing the process. Then we're just betting. Then it's about winning in gambling. And listen, I want to win in gambling. And you know what? Harbaugh cares deeply. It continues to make me happy.
+3 and a hook, but you need the hook.
Oh, man. You and I have a big segment coming up. We have to talk a little bit about.
Yeah. Life Spectator almost kind of hit on it. Somewhat.
He
says market 0. That's a pretty good guess.
Is tomorrow the day that we go with W's and L's or Friday?
Tomorrow. It's good. We're going to solve for the future and make it W's and L's.
With our friends from ISF, yeah.
Until one of the bye weeks. And we can do a midseason W's and L's.
Sometimes when we do W's and L's, we ham it up a little bit. We have a lot of fun with it. It gets a little silly. And I might even argue that occasionally we play for the TV audience or the radio audience or the chat or the boards or whatever. I mean, we don't go out of our way to do that. I don't say we're going to lose to somebody like Duquesne just because I want a crazy reaction. But we'll just have some fun with it when it's so early in the summer and we have so far to go. Then you can kind of go out on a limb a little bit more readily than you can when the season is upon you. It's time to get very serious about what you think is actually going to happen. Put your name on it, baby. All of that, right? So that's all right. It's okay to be wrong about these things. It's okay to be right about these things. And if you do it long enough, you'll do a little of both. But I'm ready. I'm ready for tomorrow's W's and L's. I'm ready. I think I've got a pretty good handle on where I'm going with that. But it's tough because I've had to wrestle with basically two things that have to happen, or two things that, if they do happen, are disastrous. So there's the good part of those two things and the bad part of those two things, and predicting a couple of those are very difficult. Some of it is just the nature of the wear and tear of a football season and the order of that schedule. You always have to take into account. We talk about these things a lot. You know, one of those things, no secret, Jordan Travis stay healthy. I mean, that's one of them. I'll reveal that now. I mean, can he stay healthy? And what are you going to do?
Will if you sit on the rug.
Well, what I'm saying is you cannot base the W's and L's by presupposing a loss of a player. That's not how you do it. It's like when we used to do the top 25 rankings. You know, like, well, I mean, is this the preseason ranking? Is it the postseason ranking? Is it, all these things we talk about. I can't sit down in here and say, listen, it's obvious that the war of attrition that is football is going to, unfortunately, claim a certain number of players. That happens every year unless you're incredibly lucky. The injury luck, as they call it, works in your favor, and you never know when that's going to happen. Typically, that happens when a team has everything aligned, the stars align, like we did in 2013. That was a loaded football team, talent for days, NFL talent for days, but also remained largely intact.
Yeah.
You didn't lose critical pieces of your team.
If they lost 2 offensive linemen that year, it's in doubt. They would have gone 12-0. They would have beaten Duke in the ACC championship. But you coming back from 21-3 down in Pasadena, if you're missing 2 of your starting offensive linemen in that game?
Yeah. Man, I just think about how sloppy Jameis was early. We know that Auburn had our plays and all that, but Jameis was unsettled. And it's that one throw out there to Rashad Green that you and I were like, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a nothing play.
What was really weird about all of that is the calendar year 2013 featured no close games, unless you want to consider Boston College a close game. But it wasn't.
Didn't turn out to be.
No, especially by halftime, it was over because of the completion to Kenny.
But it did feature a wonderful utterance by me at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, much to the chagrin of an older woman and her husband that were sitting behind us.
A regular mom and dad with their kid.
What were they doing? What are they doing?
They were at a bar and grill.
You take your ass home and watch that.
They were at a bar and grill, not a grill and bar.
It's a bar and grill.
That's right.
It's a bar and grill indeed.
A bar and grill.
And things are said at bars that young ears don't need to hear.
You will be grilled at a bar.
And that poor woman was aghast at my descriptor.
But then in 2014, the calendar year, there was hardly a blowout. They were all close games. What a strange way.
It was a painful year, that 2014. But I reveled in the disdain, the national disdain, the building angst, the gnashing of teeth, the consternation heard by announcers each week on a Saturday night as they're just like, really? They're going to win again? They're going to escape this sorry-ass performance with a victory again? And we would all be like, we would yell at them for 3 hours, and then we'd go, but we won. Suck it, everybody. That 2014 is not tonight, haters. That's all it is.
Remember the white gold helmets in Texas?
Well, that was annoying.
Yeah.
I had a good time in Texas, though.
We all did.
Hard not to have a good time in Texas if you do it right.
That was a successful trip.
It was an awesome trip. And I just remember grilling for everybody at the house that you guys rented.
You took control. I
took
said,
control
wow,
of that
look
grill.
at this guy.
Here's the thing. I nailed it. I took control of that grill, but that was like a 1952 grill.
It was.
And damn, man, your boy was just sweating buckets out there. It was hot as Hades, and the grill didn't help.
But it was at the birth of the all-day IPA. It was right at the beginning of that, so you were very happy.
I just sat there all day drinking that Founders and
you
doing
stocked
the grill.
up at the all days, did you, T. Lizzie?
Oh, is that what I said when I opened them?
Good looking out.
You must have
Good
been like,
looking out.
oh, you must have been like, oh, geez, you guys better get you small days before this guy
if you're in a grill, you can have all day a double IPA, all week IPA.
Here we go. Heads up. This is for our warchant.com members only. Get you some of that. If you haven't signed up, you got like 30 seconds. It's a buck. Head to the tribal council. Look up top for the trivia thread. You got that up there, Tommy? You all good to go?
Yeah, it's ready. That's where the guesses were.
The first person to post the correct answer wins $25 to Garnet and Gold. It's Garnet and Gold trivia time if you can't tell. This contest, once again, warchant.com members only. I'm trying to stall for the time. I'm trying to help
see what
out.
you're doing.
Trying to help them out. You got to be quick in this sign up now. Hurry up. Get in there. You ready? Here's today's question. Who are the last two FSU wide receivers to eclipse 700 receiving yards in a season? We're looking for the last two different wide receivers who went north of 700 yards.
Good luck.
Want to go to break? We'll come back and tell everybody who won. All right. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Football at El Jalisco, football at El Jalisco, what a combination. It's a great big celebration. It's football at El Jalisco. I can dig it. Who's playing? Oh, man, everybody. The ACC, the SEC, all the C's, and even the pros. The Bucks, the Steelers, the Giants, the Cowboys. Wow, far out. You bet, man. When the game is on, it's on at El Jalisco with incredible specials on everything from frosty cervezas to salty margaritas. Does Margarita know? Dios mío, not again. The best place to watch the game is El Jalisco. College, pros, Monday night, Thursday night, you name it, El Jalisco is football headquarters. And with 5 Tallahassee area locations, there's probably an El Jalisco right around the corner right now.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn at Finn Chiropractic. Wanted to let you guys know, chiropractic doesn't just get rid of back pain, neck pain, and headaches. It can help with sleep. It can help with digestion. Maybe you have pain down your arm. But chiropractic is one of the safest, most natural, most effective ways to get to the root cause of your problem. So if your loved one are having a problem, even if you think we might not be able to help, make a new patient appointment today at FinnChiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. Because your chiropractor loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hearth and Patio wants you to know now is the time to start thinking about your fireplaces. Yes, we know that temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 90s for the next couple of months. But now is the time to start thinking about upgrading those fireplaces. You're not going to be using them. Get those fireplaces upgraded now. They can repair all makes and models of fireplaces. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas and put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Friend Show brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Little game here in a moment in which we talk about the season and some of our concerns. We've dealt in an awful lot of optimism, but there is room to voice concerns as well. So we have a little bit of balance. Camp can excite. The start of the season certainly does as well. But there's a reason to kind of hold your breath in some areas, and we're going to go over those in a moment. We may not agree. I don't know what Tom's concerns are. I've dismissed largely Tom's concerns.
Well, I've known you long enough. You don't actually dismiss them.
I don't. Okay, so listen. You want the answer? Is that what you're telling me to do here? Are you going to flash a photo of the dude or the woman who won? Do we have one?
Could. Their handle. They don't even have a logo. It's just, it's a color.
Got their handle out there. Are they an egg?
They would be the equivalent of that, but they at least give you a letter, the first letter of your handle. So it's a green B.
Okay. The question was, and this is the Garnet and Gold trivia question for Warchant members only, and this is to win $25 to Garnet and Gold. Who are the last 2 wide receivers, FSU wide receivers, to eclipse 700 receiving yards in a season? So basically, we were looking for the last 2 different wide. You can't say the same guy. So 2 different players that each eclipsed 700 yards for Florida State. And the reason that that's interesting to me is we've obviously felt a lot of consternation over the fact that we have not done a good job in a number of years of developing wide receivers and finding any degree of consistency. It's very frustrating when you think about it. The answer is Tamorrion Terry, who had 1,188 yards in 2019. Unfortunately, that did not portend of future great seasons for Tamorrion Terry.
That's correct.
But he did have one whale of a year in 2019, 1,188 yards receiving. And the one prior to that was in 2018. Lest we forget one, Naquan Murray. Noonie Murray, as he was known. Noonie Murray had a year, 2018, 744 yards. So the answer is Tamorrion Terry and Naquan Murray. And it was, if you could enlarge that, Tom, it's awfully small for these old eyes. Be home. Is
that better?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Be home 11.
Yeah, poor Happy Hour Noles right behind him. It was a dead heat. It's unfortunate.
Happy hour. And that was Preston?
Is that Preston? I don't know.
Preston, are you happy hour, Noel?
Are we going to out people's handles?
He doesn't care. So there it is. There it is. He might care. Maybe I'm wrong.
Don't go full name next time. Just give me the identifiers. All that extra typing cost them.
Be home. Congratulations to you, whoever you are.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
You have won $25 to Garnet and Gold.
The great thing, folks, that participated in this, Warchant members, is they're just codes that you can use on garnetandgold.com. So you don't have to go anywhere. We'll send it to you.
Now I know Preston is happy hour, Noel. I'm going to get on there and badger him. I'm never on the board, so he'll be like, what is going on here? What is wrong with people? Actually nailed that.
You did.
Oh, man. All right. Tom, are you ready to engage in this? This is sponsored by Orange Theory Fitness.
Is it?
I made that up. But, man, I got after it yesterday at Orange Theory. Got after it. You'd have been proud of me. We had to do these jump, squat, turn things, Tom.
I'm always proud of you.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on
listen,
now.
let me tell you something. I was, right after doing some all outs on the tread, you had to step down off the tread. And then to supplement the all outs, you had to do these squats, turn, squat, jump, squat, turn, squat, jump. Then you got back on and you hit a push pace. Doing some damn things. I was beat. 800 calories gone just like that. Getting after it. Ready
That's
for
a
this?
lot.
That's a lot. It's a lot. Heart rate was way up there. Then it was back down in the green zone. Then it went into the orange zone. Got into the red zone briefly. Got into that red zone. When you get into the red zone, the coaches go, "You all right?" I'm like, "I'm good, man. I could be in red all day." They don't like that answer.
I'm earning my loaded fries.
So anyhow, it was good. Orange Theory Fitness, 2 locations in town. More life. That's what they're going to give you. More life. You'll have more energy throughout the day. It's a busy season, football season, for all of us. It's especially true for me and Tom and anybody who works in the business. You're kind of always on, and I got to make sure that I have enough energy, and Orange Theory Fitness helps me do that. I promise you it will do the same for you. 2 locations in town. They're not sponsoring this segment. They sponsor and are partners of the show, so I thought I'd give them this little added bonus segment, which is you and I doing a little bit of a pump the brakes type thing here about the season. How do you want to introduce this? How do you want to put this as, how about you and I, one of our favorite films? Why don't we go this route? How about this is our concern, dude?
Oh, you know what? I like that idea.
Let's go with this is
I was
our
prepared
concern.
for that idea. I don't know how.
How about that? How about this is our concern, dude?
This is our concern, dude.
Oh, there he is, the late great. This is our concern, dude. All right,
This is our concern, dude.
That's right. So brace yourselves, those that are eternally optimistic and will hear none of the possible pitfalls. You may want to turn away. You may want to find the sun and think about the great future that lies ahead. I don't know.
The sun is golden.
But
unless it's setting, then it's garnet.
But this is our concern, dude. You want me to start with my first chief concern?
Yes, I hope it's a golden or a platinum chief, but I imagine you have more concerns. I think your list of concerns probably is more comprehensive.
Well, in all honesty, I think if we're judging by that of the staff, whether that's Ira or Corey, you, Aslan, Austin, I haven't asked Michael Langston where he sits on this yet, and I don't know where Gene sits on this just yet. But honestly, I think if we're just going through, I probably do have the most amount of concerns.
This is our concern, dude.
But what I think is interesting when we have these conversations, and you and I have it a lot while we're watching practice together, or if we're on the phone talking about future plans for the show or whatever it is we got to do, I'm always careful. I want to be careful. And I said this just a moment ago. Thank you, Ian. Again, we'll take care of that. I'm always careful to point out that there's a couple things that go on with us in camp. Everybody. We love football, just like all of you. Love it. I love it. And we love Florida State. So you're going to be in a place of somewhat, I guess, optimism and internal optimism, as they say about all fans in the offseason, right? That everybody has some measure of optimism. Even in years where you don't expect much from a team, you'll latch on to the things that, if they go right, would give you the best possible outcome. And you tend to see those things more. It's a little bit like, I want a red convertible Mercedes. And I start saying those things out loud. 2 things are going to happen. Inexplicably, when I pull up my computer, there are going to be ads for a red convertible Mercedes.
Yes, there will now.
And then secondly,
for the hundreds of people that are listening to this too.
And then secondly, I am going to see red convertible Mercedes everywhere I turn. It's just omnipresent on the mind. Well, if you're always looking for the pluses because you're tired of the negatives, and if you're always looking to see the brighter side of things, you're tending and trending, certainly, in your observations to see those things and not immerse yourself in the negative things. It's not to say that you can't be more objective or somewhat balanced, but nobody by definition is objective. None of us are, even those that strive to be. So if you just admit that we have a bias and then you think about that You think about, well, where would my blind spots be? Where is it that where could I be wrong because I'm so hoping to be right about this, this, or this? And, that's a lot of us as camp rolls on. The other problem you have when you're at camp for all of us is you begin to lack context, because if somebody dominates a guy across from him and he does it repeatedly, then you put in your notebook that guy's kicking ass. Well, he is. Maybe he's just a lot better than the guy across from him, but won't be when he's across the guy from LSU and the guy from Clemson and the guy from NC State and the guy from Florida and the guy from Miami on the road. And you get what I'm saying? So, yeah, great. He wins every day in camp against that guy.
Maybe that guy, camp.
Yeah, the fog of camp. Maybe that guy's just not real good. Or he's average at best. And he's being dominated by a better player who he has to line up across from when it's one-on-one, or it's the ones versus the ones, I should say, or the ones versus the twos. So you can get, I think, a clouded vision, a clouded look at what we are. And it's difficult to extricate yourself from that.
The thing I'd caution, though, because I saw even Ian, here comes the other, the shoe on the other foot. We're still always saying this offseason, consistently, as a staff, I'll defend us for a moment, even the most optimistic and pessimistic amongst us. We're landing somewhere between 7 wins and 9 wins as long as there's not catastrophic injury. Like all of us, on the scale. So by definition, if you're going to lose between 3 and 5 regular season games, there will be concerns. Even if there are pluses that you see in camp. If you lose 3 games in a 12-game season, there are, by definition, a lot of concerns that you would have. It's just how much better have you gotten compared to myriad concerns that could lose you 7 football games or more.
Yes. And I also want to say that if you say that Florida State is better, it doesn't mean they're good.
Right.
So I think Florida State is better. I think that is unequivocally true. Florida State is a better team this year than they were last year. At every practice I went to, that was affirmed for me. But I also know we weren't very good last year. The schedule's difficult. I think that my chief concern is they are 1 or 2 injuries away. A lot of people can say this, but when you don't have a huge margin for error, 1 or 2 injuries could be the death knell to a positive outlook for a season.
This is our concern, dude.
And I'll do this one because everybody's immediately going to say quarterback. You're right. If Jordan Travis goes down, this team's probably not good. Probably not good at all. Secondly, and this is where I'll start. You're an injury away from Tatum Bethune, let's say, happening. If that occurred, from your linebacking core to once again being substandard and exploited by a lot of teams.
This is our concern, dude.
As it was last year. If I keep going down this road, it sounds incredibly negative. I don't mean it to be. But I think that's also true if either one of the offensive tackles were to suffer a setback.
That's where my list would start.
Okay. So now you see how easy it is to do this, Tom. I could go to offensive line and name the 2 tackles. I can go to linebacker and name Tatum Bethune. I could go to the quarterback. I can go to receivers. In particular, if one of those guys that we think has had a good camp does not become a consistently good option, if Johnny Wilson isn't the star that a lot of people are making him out to be, and he's just instead a better version of what we had last year, which means we did get better and we did take a step forward. He makes this team better, but he's not a star. He's not great. He's not a big-time difference maker. Then how much better is Florida State? Not much. Not much. So I worry that the offensive line, which is certainly deeper, is still only an average offensive line.
Right. This is something that was even in the 3-2-1 column last week. Like, they're deeper and better this year, but the outlook that where you can breathe easier comes in a year or 2, because this new crop of the 2022 class and what looks to be that offensive line class that's coming in is shaping up to be really good as long as you don't lose those kids.
Very exciting.
That sets the stage for a year or 2 from now, you feeling really good about the offensive line. Right now, you should feel better about their depth. That if one dude goes down, they're not dead meat. They already had one guy go down. If 2 guys go down, they're not dead meat. Well, they've had 2 guys go down. Darius Washington is the starting center on the depth chart. How many more can go down? And we don't want to ask that too much unless we're sitting on the Cameron Mao rug with apricots
and incense.
But you can't take too many more of those losses. You've already suffered 2 of them, at least in the near term. So at tackle, I don't know that you have an answer beyond the starting 2 that you like, especially if Darius is going to be playing center because he's got to play center right now.
Well,
I think Darius could help you in a pinch at tackle. Jazz could as well, but I think Darius might be better fit to do so in the context of, holy crap, it's the second quarter, we lost somebody. Now what do? You slide Gibbons to center? I don't know. The shuffling continues. I think you can get by with maybe one more injury, but at tackle, you're much thinner than you are in the interior. So for me, that's a concern. And then beyond the injury part, which that's everybody, every team. I don't know what I'm watching every day in practice because of the fog of camp. I don't know if these defensive ends are giving the tackles fits at certain times because the defensive ends are good, because Jermaine and Keir aren't here anymore. So what are these guys that are behind Jermaine and Keir? We'll know in about, what do you think, quarter and a half of the LSU game? But I don't know what I'm watching. So when a D end, beats Robert Scott, is that because Robert is being beat by a superior player who's going to be good against ACC
That's
teams
where
at
the context
LSU?
discussion begins.
Or is it because Rob's not doing so hot this camp? I don't know what I'm watching.
I'm gonna talk about this again. When we talk about the time that it takes to develop an offensive line, it's the one position where it's not a matter of, like, you get a quick twitch guy that runs a 4.3 40 with hands. He can come from high school and you can plug him in certain sets at wide receiver and he can go out there and make a huge difference for your team just because he's explosive. That is not that way with an offensive line. So if you recruit a guy that is a 4 or 5 star talent, he's not typically ready to be a plug-and-play guy on the offensive line. You can't do it. You can at defensive back. You can at wide receiver. You can at running back. You can't at offensive line. So you get a guy like Alex Atkins in here who somehow made chicken salad with chicken you-know-what last year. Okay, that offensive line was butt sorry, and he found a way to run the ball through scheme and angles and all that stuff, right? That guy saved this team to some extent. But he's not immune to the problems of developing an offensive line in the time that it takes to do it. You can't just roll guys out there because their upside is high and expect that all of a sudden, because they're more talented than the group in front of them, they're going to be able to plug and play. They're still freshmen. And the difference between playing high school football and big-time college football against a junior or a senior that's NFL bound on that defensive line is light years. That's why Julian Armella could massively destroy dudes at IMG on a weekly basis and get here and have a little bit of success and enough to turn heads, but be put on his ass routinely by juniors and seniors off the edge.
And the success he's having is notable because it doesn't happen typically for a kid that young.
Right.
So that's it's more
capable.
of a positive event than anything else.
Right.
The thing that's tough here, they're going to be better at tackle than they were last year. I believe that. Because you look at the right side last year, it was a mess.
It was a mess. This is the crux of our discussion. They are, Tom, you are right. They are better on the offensive line. I just caution people that just because they're better doesn't mean they're good. They are better on the offensive line. Are they good? I think they're above average, finally, or average, at least average in the ACC, but they're not an elite offensive line. Nobody's going to mistake them as an elite offensive line and say, look at this group. They've risen to average on the offensive line, and they're a lot better off with the depth that they have on the offensive line.
Right. But again, it's a different conversation for the interior than tackles. Because for the interior, if you're Emmanuel or if you're Gibbons or whoever, and you're blocking Fabian Lovett or Robert Cooper, and I see that rep, I know what I'm watching there. That's a good rep for the offensive line because Fabian Lovett and Robert Cooper are good players.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see positive, let's say 2 wins out of 3 in individual reps where Fabian Lovett is on the other side and the offensive lineman wins, I know what I'm seeing there because Fabian is a known commodity. But if you're going against McClendon and Verse at this point in their careers, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what will transpire in a Louisville game, let alone put LSU aside for a moment. I don't know what's going to transpire in the Louisville game for a guy like McClendon and Verse when they're on the field. How consistently will they get into the backfield?
Now, here's the good news. most of the teams that they play are flawed. Listen, even this LSU team that I think has better personnel is coming off of a 6-loss season, new coaching staff, a lot of guys having to move around. If you just look at the recruiting rankings and the talent that they've stockpiled and all that stuff, you'd say that Florida State it has a roster that is not as talented as LSU's roster. And I think that's an accurate summation. If you look at the NFL prospects on the two rosters, LSU has a lot more NFL-bound players currently. But I do think both LSU and Florida State are going to struggle to block the other.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't believe that LSU is going to line up and have success running the ball against Florida State, and I don't think FSU is going to line up and run the ball against LSU with a great degree of consistency. I think that's why I keep telling people to plug the under here. I think that these two defensive lines are going to eat in that game.
Right. And the other thing is it's tough because you're parsing words here. I'm not saying that I don't believe that Jared Verse or Jared McClendon won't make plays. I'm just saying I'm concerned because of the work they're getting in every day in camp. You could argue it either way. Until we see, you could argue it either way. So therefore, I'm concerned about that. I'm not concerned about defensive interior. I'm not going to focus on injuries for a second. I'm not concerned about safety. I'm not concerned about linebacker because I see and I know what's going on. That's high level play. Ends. I think Briggs is going to be the most consistent guy, but that doesn't mean affecting the quarterback. And it's just when it comes to affecting the quarterback, all right, I got to see it against opponents versus against Bless Harris, Robert Scott.
I want to jump ahead because this could go on and on. All right. If I tell you that they're better at wide receiver,
yeah,
okay, we both agree with that. I mean, if you've listened to this staff, if you've listened to the people that have been at camp, if you listen to this coaching staff, if you listen to the players themselves, they would all tell you that this receiving core is better than last year's. Well, what does that mean? Last year's receiving core was the worst in the league. They had no choice but to get better. I mean, good God, they could not be worse. That receiving core was horrible a year ago. So when I say, hey, yeah, the receiving core is a lot better than last year. Well, what's a lot better? 8th, 9th, 10th best in the ACC? 8th best? 7th best?
This gets interesting because I think there is potential.
North Carolina's
for them.
receiving core is better. NC State's receiving core is better. Clemson's receiving core is better. Louisville's probably better.
Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, well, listen, one man's opinion here. I think there's 5 or 6 that I can think of that are Miami's is better.
You got into league average, though.
Okay, so that's what we're asking. It's just a way of pumping the brakes. It's just a way of saying this is our concern, dude. It's just a way of saying if you're the worst in the league and now you're a lot better, well, what does that put you at? Does that put you at 7th in the ACC after being dead ass last? That would be a vast improvement. Doesn't mean you're any good.
But you were able to produce in the upper 20s and lower 30s without a receiving core, without the improvement on the offensive line. But that's the way to look at it optimistically, along with the concern, if you believe, and it does bear out, that for a quarterback who didn't have a line that could block and he didn't have receivers who could get open, that they're going to do both of those things better.
The glass is half full argument. I agree, but it's not the purpose of this is our concern, dude.
Sometimes concerns can show you the optimistic side, though. From the opposite perspective, because if you're saying it's my concern that they're not good, but they're league average, or maybe just below league average, that
might be enough. It might be enough.
It's the Alonzo Mourning. You're like, oh man, they're not even, but they are league average.
No. So it's fun this way. It's fun. Because what you end up doing is going through each group and saying they're better here, they're better here, they're better here. But it does tell you just how bad off they were and how little margin for error they had before it all went south. I still think they have a pretty small margin for error, but it's certainly bigger than it was a year ago. And when you go through the position groups, it's greater in some areas than others. Like, because we talk about this depth with the offensive line, it's important to note that, man, a year ago when they lost people, it was Katie bar the door. You were screwed.
Right.
I don't think that's the case.
You already
now.
have, and you're not screwed.
If you lost another offensive line right now and Estes had to come in, I'd be like, all right, we're good. We're okay. He can play. I would not have said that a year ago.
And that would be 3.
Yeah. Well, right. So
last year, if you lost 3, you lost by 50.
And it's fun. To me, it's fun to sit back and say, all right, just remember that while we're wildly excited about the growth of this player or this unit, this segment group, right? Whatever that might be, coming from where we were, it's good to remind yourself that Johnny Wilson is certainly a plus player for this receiving core. He makes them better. I think that in time, Deuce Spann will too. By the way, somebody brought up Winston Wright. Well, we don't even know when he's going to play, if he's going to play. So I can't include him now. If he can, that'd be great. But if not, I mean, how
right, yeah, the
far
discussion, we're talking about the receiving core without Winston Wright.
Yeah,
That's
right
what
now.
yes,
Yeah. Micah Pittman was a good addition. Is he a game changer? Does Florida State, is suddenly our teams lined up worried about Florida State's receiving core? I don't think so.
Are they worried enough to give you a balanced look pre-snap?
Well, that's what we're fighting for. That's what we're fighting for, man. And this was not to spit on the progress or to tell you that things are way worse off than they are. I know we got a break. But what it is to say is a lot of things are better about this team. They only won 5 games last year. They're pretty thin at a couple key positions. Knock on wood, they stay healthy. Yes, they can improve. They're just, they're an average football team hoping to have maybe a slightly above average season, which would be, given what we've been, 7 or 8 wins.
Whether you're irked by optimism or over pessimism, right? Whatever it is, if you're talking about a 4-loss football team, there are reasons for concern. Like that's just
yeah,
the
by
point.
definition.
By definition, you have to be.
Yeah. We'll come back, wrap it up momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Now,
the city of Tallahassee's mayoral primary election was one of many races in Leon County on the ballot during Tuesday's Florida primary elections. In the mayoral election, unofficially, Kristen Dozier, currently a Leon County commissioner, secured 46.02% of the votes. Incumbent Mayor John Daly was second with 45.85% of the vote. As of last night, Dozier unofficially has a 62-vote lead over Daly. Election day and in-person early votes have been completely reported, while mail-in ballots are partially reported. Since no candidate in the 4-candidate field secured 51% of the vote, the mayor's race will be contested in the general election November 8th between Daly and Dozier, meaning they are headed for a runoff. Several other primary races are set to be contested in runoff elections as well. Races for the City of Tallahassee Commission, Leon County Commission, and Leon County School Board District were all part of the races that will be contested. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon, otherwise overcast. Highs level off around 87, northeasterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Lows around 72 tonight, scattered thunderstorms likely. Scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 87, overcast skies. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186. Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Just so you know, the previous segment is in no way negative. It strikes me as hilarious. that if you merely question that Florida State may be average in some areas, thin in others, then you're negative? Come on, get it together, everybody. The Braves are pasting the Pirates by a gazillion.
Never going to lose again?
Well, not if they play the Pirates, they won't. Kyle Wright started for the Braves. He's going to be your winner. Mitch Keller started for the Pirates. He will not win. 6-0 Detroit in the 5th. That is Logan Webb and Matt Manning. Rangers, Rockies, Martin Perez, Jose Urena. Marlins, A's, Jose Luzardo, Cole Irvin. Guardians, Padres, Cal Quantrill, Blake Snell. Nationals, Mariners, Anibal Sanchez, George Kirby. TJ Zetch going for the Reds. Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. White Sox, Orioles, Lucas Giolito, Spencer Watkins. Angels, Rays, Mike Mayers, and Shane McClanahan. Jose Barrios going to start for the Blue Jays. Red Sox go with Brian Abello. And Cardinals, Cubs, Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Wow, Hardy today. Luke Farrell going for the Cubs. D-backs, Royals, Zach Gallen, Brady Singer. Twins, Astros, Dylan Bundy, Framber Valdez. Brewers, Dodgers rounded out. Adrian Hauser, Andrew Haney, and that is a look at those that shall resign to the bump. Woo! Woo!
Got a minute to spare.
Woo!
That was killer.
All right. Good times. Man. I remain hopeful and do think that, I think Matt Moscona did a good job of pointing out their 50-50 games, the amount of 50-50 games he believes LSU is playing. I think the same will be said about FSU.
Yeah.
Like 8 games that you'd go, okay, well, there's in the balance. There it is. Can you win the majority of those? You go 5-3 in those 50-50 games? All right, then, because you got a couple automatic wins. Georgia Tech,
5-3 in those games, you might be staring at a good number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, they got a chance, man. They got a chance. Good work, Tom. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Peace. Talk to you tomorrow.